In the first reading from the book of the prophet Jeremiah, he criticizes those, so the Lord criticizes those who place more trust in human beings rather than following the law of the Lord. And I think there is something to be gained from that just in our present situation. Obviously, Jeremiah is prophesying for the Lord and speaking specifically for the people's dismissal, if you will, of obedience in terms of the Lord's statutes. But, we are obviously facing the reality of this pandemic, as it is labeled. And, the reality is that we, in addition to being very practical, right, so following the best instructions, the best guidance of professionals, healthcare professionals, scientists, and so forth, we also have to be obedient to the Lord in terms of how we pray. Every one of us should be praying daily for the eradication of the virus, the mitigation of the suffering that's arising from it, and obviously for our own families, our parish, our state, our country, etc. But that doesn't mean that by being faithful to the Lord and trusting His goodness, that we don't also take those precautions that make the most sense. So washing our hands frequently, doing what we can to, when we're aware that we're sick, even if we're not sure what it is, we stay home. There's nothing wrong with that. And to use every precaution that we are instructed on so as to prevent it, right? That's practical. There's nothing wrong with it. God does not turn off natural law because He's acting, right? There are times when He does that, for example, the Red Sea, the crossing of the Red Sea, etc. But in general, God always uses the natural order to accomplish His will. So I was dealing with an email yesterday, someone who had written the bishop about a situation at school, where they are going to school, that they took away the common cup, which of course we've done as well, saying that, well, it's the blood of Christ, so because it's the blood of Christ, we shouldn't worry about such things. Okay. Again, yes, it's the blood of Christ. We don't doubt that. But again, God doesn't suspend the natural law. God doesn't suspend the accidents, that is, the physical properties of the element, even though the substance of the element is changed, right? So we can be very practical and, not share a common cup in order to help prevent the spread of virus. So again, we have to remember that God uses our humanity, and so there's nothing inappropriate. In fact, actually, it's required out of charity to follow those things and do those things that help prevent the spread of disease. Obviously, always having recourse to the Lord, never refusing the sacraments because of the disease. Obviously, we priests are called to put ourselves out there regardless, because that's what we are called to do. But by and large, we still should always use preventative measures in order to halt the spread of any disease, whatever it happens to be. So as we continue to pray and to offer holy masses, we do ask that the Lord would bless all of us, would protect us, would end the spread of this disease, and certainly mitigate its effects as much as possible, and to accept those things that come as an opportunity to unite ourselves more to the cross of Christ, and certainly make reparation for the sins of our nation, the sins of the world, and our own sins.